Now let's transform this guy. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Recently, October 2021, at the time of this filming, Transform Elements has all their major products on sale. Their Optimus Prime and this figure, their masterpiece Mirage. So in this video, let's talk about the good, the bad, and whether you should spend your money on this figure if you don't already have a masterpiece Mirage. So let's talk about it. Honestly, I think I can only be qualified as half of a G1 fan because I watched season 3 before I watched the 86 movie. So for that reason, I didn't understand season 3, and therefore I didn't like season 3 as much. Besides, I was just a kid. Season 1 and 2 were good enough for me. So getting an Optimus and getting all those carbides was kind of a big deal. This guy has been missing in the MP line since like the beginning. I was waiting for that masterpiece Mirage to come out, but it didn't. A couple of years ago when Transform Element released their Mirage, I was super happy, but maybe you already know that there was an assembly issue. I was afraid that I also bought a flawed figure, so I skipped it and I was waiting for a fixed version. And this time around, they released a cartoon paint and also they fixed that thigh issue. So let's talk about this figure to see, does this figure really live up to the expectation to be that definitive Mirage, right? Now let's start with the articulation. And along the way, we're going to talk about its issues. It does have some issues. Now, starting from the head is on the ball joint, but it's also on this hinge and it's connected with this like typical Mirage feature, right? So as you can see, the head goes like, there's a transformation joint here, super tight. It goes up, right? Because during transformation, you need to actually use this joint. Now, this part is connected with this piece, also due to transformation. Therefore, there is not a tap mechanism or something to fix this in place. It also looks down a significant amount, even further down. So articulation-wise, it's good, but because of the transformation design, this part is loose and doesn't tap in anything. That's probably can be improved a little bit, right? Okay, so that's that. Now shoulders goes to 90, and it goes 360, which is pretty good. And double joint elbow goes to the full range, also pretty nice. The hand can rotate, and also it's the standard business for creating hands. A movable index, the thumb is fixed, and then the other 3 fingers are together. And then we go to the waist. There is a rotation, but because of this design, it blocks the rotation. It goes to that much, which is okay for normal posing, but it could be better if it goes like further. And it does have an ab crunch, right? If you bend it, it goes this much. For the legs, this piece goes out, but the side piece is also on the same side, on this part. Probably is not the best design. It goes all the way, 90. And for the back, it also goes all the way to the back, almost 90. And it goes to the side. They're all friction joints. Right, so that's also pretty good. And then for the knee, it goes way over 90, almost like 160 or so. So pretty good. And then for the feet, it goes this far. Because of a transformation, it also uses a transformation, but it doesn't really go forward unless you want to disconnect, and it does go forward. But because of the wheel, it doesn't really go forward that much. And talking about issues with the feet. Now, as you can see, the heels, they're the spoiler of the car, of course. They're super loose and it does not really tap in anything. So they're just here, like they can move in so many other ways so that it can serve as a heel to help stabilizing the figure, but it kind of look like a mess, especially from the side. And there's another problem. I think it's a common problem because not just me, a lot of people actually experience this problem. When you transform this guy, there's a pin, because when you transform this guy, you have to slide. As you can see, this pin slide out. Now on this feet, on this heel, it doesn't really do that. You just slide and it slides. As you can see, if you slide, it slides. But also sliders also doesn't lock in, and this is pretty loose, but it's probably better than this, right? If you slide, you slide the pin out. Now, if you want to properly slide it, the way I did it is that I have to use nails to push this pin in position and just slide it out. Now, the reason was because this pin is too tight, so that it does not slide freely like on this side. Therefore, it disconnected from that part. If you just don't hold it and just slide it, it just slides out. It doesn't break or anything, but this could be better. Oh, one more thing I almost forgot. That is the backpack, right? As you can see, this is the engine block for the car, right? And it doesn't tap in. It goes in, but there's nothing holding it. Of course, you have this part, this section, which is on a double hinge. It goes flat like that in the car mode, and you're supposed to move it downward, like to push this with the steering wheel part. But this is also just on friction, and if you just move it slightly, it goes out of a position, and this part get loose again. So the I have to do this, right? You just slide it down, and also you just flip it out, and you just fold it out so that it pushes this engine block inside a little bit more securely. But still, you cannot touch it. If you touch it, it goes out of position and this flops out. So they probably can use some better ways to handle this. Now, with the issues out of the way, let's talk about what's good about this figure. Now, the first thing is that it looks just like a Mirage, right? That's very critical, because not like Megatron or Starscream, Masterpiece Megatron and Starscream, there is no face to copy, right? The third party just have to create these faces on their own, and they did it. Transform Element created the likeness of this face sculpt and the head, and that's a very good thing. Second, the build and the paint. This is a very comfortable figure to handle, almost as comfortable as Masterpiece Sunstreaker MP39. It's very smooth, like all the joints. There's no actual ratchet joints at all on this figure, but everything is very smooth. It's that kind of a comfort tight joints, right, on every joint. So that is very good, except for the head, of course. And there's some die cast parts like the feet. So this figure is small, but it does have some heft. Like it weighs, right? You can feel the heft when you handle this figure. Even the engine block, like the engine itself is has some die cast pieces, like these bits, they're die cast, which gives this figure a pretty premium, uncomfortable feeling. Joints are smooth and nicely built, has some weight to it, so it's pretty good. So that's what I think is great. Also the tolerance. And the third thing I like about this figure is transformation, right? It gives me a wow experience. As you can see in the transformation sequence, the shoulder cannon, of course not the missile, but the shoulder cannon itself transformed with it. That's a wow factor. And how the legs transform really impressed me, like how they just designed the figure is like a smooth transformation, very logical, and also very, very enjoyable. That's something I like about this figure the most. I think I like the sculpt the most. I like the handling of this figure. I like the transformation. It is a very outstanding design, and it gives you a premium feeling. And when it comes down to $35 to $40, it's a no-brainer. It does have some issues here and there, but overall, I recommend this figure. And I think this is probably, in my opinion, the best Mirage figure out there in the market for the moment. So here's a quick look at the car mode. The car mode is okay. There are some gaps due to transformation, of course, and this gap doesn't fully close, like this gap in the front, but that's just fine. And here's the bottom of the vehicle mode. It just hides things pretty nicely. So I think this is a cartoon look car. I brought this car for comparison. This is a pretty realistic looking car. You cannot even tell this guy transforms, and all the symbols and stripes and everything on this car is really just perfect. Even on the tires, you do see the markings. And this is TR Jazz. Its robot mode is not the best, but its car mode is like this. So the reason why I brought this car for comparison is that I wish all Transformer like toys transform into something look like this. I'll be super happy if they look like this. Of course, this pass as a car. It's okay, but I just wish it could look even more realistic like this one. But one thing about this car is these rubber tires are super smooth and wide. So if you like rolling your cars, this is probably one of the best cars there there have ever been in this Transformer kind of a toy line. This is just so smooth, and because it has the heft, it runs really nicely, even better than this one. Here's a quick size comparison. I know it looks crowded, but it's like dream come true. I'll put an image on the screen so that you can see that when I was a kid, I had a sticker sheet and it was this image. And I used my eyes to scan this image with every single detail. I spent a lot of time staring at this picture, and this is just fantasy coming to reality. This is the dream, right? So I highly recommend this Mirage figure. Not only it fits all the criteria to be a masterpiece, like the transformation is smooth and clever, it brings you this wow effect. I know it's an old figure, I missed out on it when it was first released, but now it's probably a better time to buy it because the price is even more reasonable, and it does have a more cartoon look that goes more coherent with the other masterpiece current figures. So that's the video. Hope you like it. I'll see you in the next one.